Voice of the Sea, learning from experts across the ocean.
Welcome to Voice of the Sea. In this episode, Kanisa meets up with Shallum Etpison.
Shallum spent his childhood in the remote Rock Islands, growing up to serve as the economic advisor to several of Palau's presidents. Shallum is a renowned fisherman and owner of Neko Marine Dive and Sport Fishing, a major sponsor of the Palau Conservation Society and the Micronesian Voyage Society, as well as many community events in Palau.
I've been in the aquaculture business since 2003, so for the last 9 years, and I did the state and the national level for Palau to promote the aquaculture, and then on 2006, I became a private aquaculture farmer. So I have my own aquaculture, which we harvest only the about 1,500 pounds every 2 weeks of fish,
wow.
and it's sold out in an hour to 2 hours when we put it out, and we normally sell it here at the drop-off area or at the market.
So the demand is definitely there.
The demand is definitely there. The people, of course, are more conscious on the health issues, so they rather have the fresh fish than buying cans of sardines or tuna or corned beef. You know.
What kinds of species do you do in your aquaculture?
Right now we're doing milkfish. We're also doing groupers, and we're also planning to do some shrimps and also some mangrove crabs.
And you're working in collaboration with some of the people at the Palau Community College in part of your aquaculture work?
Yes, the college, we cooperate together on the aquaculture work, and they're basically like our partners. We share the data. I share the data with the aquaculture, also with the national government on the marine resource side. This is on the growth rates of the fish, and also the mortality of the fish. When we get the fries, we normally experience about, this is also depends on the size of the nursery, that you experience at least 60% survival rate. Mm-hmm. Once it gets to a certain point, then you get another 85% of survival rate. So based on those data, you can actually look at the cost and becomes a business. Then you can see where your profit margin is. So those data I'm supplying to the government so they can actually give it to the locals who are actually interested in aquaculture. I'm hoping that the local fishermen can become aquaculturists rather than continue to be a fisherman, which basically fish on the reef and put a lot of pressure on the reef. We experience that 100,000 tourists a year for Palau. Let's say one person eats a fish. That's how many fish are actually going away from your reef. Yeah? So we're hoping that the aquaculture becomes something attractive to the locals, but actually it's a government policy to promote and encourage the aquaculture. They're making funds available for it. They're actually very supportive on the aquaculture projects that the school is doing and also the private sector is doing.
Do you know if there are any programs to discourage tourists to eat so many fish? Like if you come to Palau, do you need to eat fish every day that you're here? Or?
You know, Palau is known for the pristine water and nice diving and clean. And you bring people from Asia, which is majority of our tourists actually come from Korea, Taiwan, and Japan. They're very much seafood eaters. So that's one of the main attraction here is actually seafood. So I don't see that they come to Palau to eat beef. They're looking for fresh fish to have.
So trying to find a way to supply that need in an ecologically sustainable way.
Right. Our government has put some policies on regulating sizes of fish to go out of Palau, and also prohibit some areas for the mating season or where they lay eggs, so you not fish on some of the channels, especially for groupers. There's programs with Palau Conservation Society. I guess you've been with the Yallop, you've heard about the Northern Reef, and also some of the areas that this NGO are helping the states to make their policies so they can protect some of the areas.
And being a renowned fisherman yourself, when you talk to other fishermen, how do you explain or talk about conservation ideas when they might make their living by catching fish?
That's why the numbers is important for the aquaculture. You can share with the fishermen that you don't have to go out all day and waste a lot of the resources, especially the price of fuel being expensive. You can create some sort of a business with aquaculture, which helps the environment, which helps the reef, and at the same time there is an income. And the income could be more profitable and more benefits to the household or to the fishermen than actually going out and do fishing, commercial fishing.
What about the cultural aspects of fishing? Do people worry about losing that knowledge if you stop fishing as a culture?
There's not much of a culture to our fishing anymore, because the traditions that we used to do, like shark fishing or turtle hunting or dugong, these are all in the past. So now the people who are fishing are using new equipments, fishing rods, fishing hooks, fast boats. It's no more of a tradition really in the local fishing.
I've heard a lot about your fishing abilities, and I know that you're a spectacular fisherman for some of the deep water, the snapper species and things. How did you learn your fishing techniques?
Well, we talk about the knowledge as far as you get it from the older people that you talk to on whereabouts the fish, but most of this that we've learned nowadays is basically using a modern equipments by GPS, with depth sounders, with special type of lines, special types of hooks. You know, it's all specialized, and if you're in the right place at the right time, of course the fish will be there. You can catch it. Yeah, that's why they call it fishing. You know, it's not guarantee.
Right.
Yeah. But we've been able to track the fish basis on the modern technology we have. So we know where they're at, and we can get the fish when we want it. We've been lucky enough to find this fish, but we also trying to conserve it, not overcatch it. And based on my fishing experience, we don't fish on one area more than twice in a week. And if we fish that area that is successful, we actually leave it for 2 to 3 weeks before we go back. Just kind of give a chance for the area to recoup or not take all the time. We sort of plan some sort of a conservation in our system, so there's always be fish for there when we go.
You're involved in so many different aspects of the environment and conservation in Palau. Can you tell me a little bit about how you got to be where you are today?
Well, most of the business I have is actually family business. My father started in the 50s. Neko Marine and Drop Off Bar is part of the company of a group of companies that we have. Neko Marine started, as you see, we have a banner in the back that says celebrating our 25-year anniversary. That was 2 years ago. So we opened the Neko Marine with the opening of the Palau Pacific Resort. We're a landowner of the hotel, and these were the concession that we became partner with, which one of them was dive shop. So we opened the dive shop when the hotel opened. And that's how we start on that particular business. The drop-off bar and grill, we opened this restaurant when there was a survival filming here in Palau. This is like 5 years ago, 6 years ago. So for the last 3 survival shows here, this is 2 from US and 1 from France. They use the facility. It's convenient. I guess it's all business is location. So that's one of it. We have the water, we have the land, the fuel issue. Major part of the show was actually going on the boats to the Rock Islands and then return. So it was easier for them to use this facility. It's got everything they need, the boat and the fuel and the transportation, and next to the hotels, a lot of accommodations around us. So it was an ideal area to have. And so we build our business, again, it's on location. So we thought this was just a temporary thing for drop-off, but it's been a popular hangout for politicians, tourists. As you've seen when you come, it's quite popular, and it's been the main thing here is fresh fish that we catch for our customers.
You're also affiliated with the Coral Reef Foundation?
Yeah, Pat and Laurie, of course, are the guys who takes care of the Coral Reef Research Foundation. They came like 16 years ago, as I mentioned earlier. They interested in surveying the corals and the sponsors, and of course they've done many works here in Palau, and part of it is doing the jellyfish lake, and have helped Palau identify many different species of fish as well as sponsors and corals. They've done several books on Palau, and I'm lucky enough to be chairperson of the Coral Reef Research Foundation, and I hope they can continue their work here. And I think it's a blessing to have people who likes the environments and study the corals and give this knowledge to our kids.
You also work with the Micronesian Voyaging Society.
Yeah, the Micronesian Voyage Society actually was started about 6 years ago? 6 or 5 years ago. We, the Hawaiians brought the canoe of Maupian-Luk to Yap, which is Alingano Maisu. And they took it with a hukulea. And they actually brought that canoe to Yap to thank Maupian-Luk for showing them the knowledge and sharing with them the knowledge of non-instrumental navigation, and which Maupian-Luk has opened the way, or a route that used to be sailed for many years in the ancient people from Hawaii and also from Tahiti and Samoa. And he was able to sail and show them that the stars and how to travel without any instruments. So it was a big thing for us. We take pride of the knowledge that our people, our ancestors used to have, and something that I was able to talk to Cesario on bringing the canoe and also his family to Palau and teach the Micronesian college, Palau Community College, the kids in this area. And that's also anybody we welcome for them to learn the knowledge. So for the last 4 years, he's been having like 15 to 20 students every year, teaching them. So there's some advanced courses, there's some beginning courses, and there's some women in the course, which is amazing to see, because in tradition, mainly it was men who goes out on these canoes, but now we can see women who are interested in the sailing, and that's nice to see.
I would like to ask you, of all of the things that you do, what are you most proud of having accomplished?
Well, there's many things that we could say that we did, but what can we say that we're proud of is that I'm hoping that we can make people aware of the beauty Palau is, and also we basically have Palau as, and what we have is like a gift to us, and we want to protect it and pass it on to the next generation. And I've been in many boards, and of course, like I said, I was also in the Palau Conservation Society for many years, and that's something I think we always want to do is we take pride on where we come from, and we want to keep it that way. I grew up on the Rock Islands with my grandparents. I stayed in the village in the Irai with my grandparents on the summers, learned the local way of fishing, and also when you lived in the Rock Islands, you really learn the conservation part of.
What similarities and maybe differences do you see on your travels in the Pacific between different Pacific cultures?
Well, we all know that the biggest challenges we have is, of course, it's beside the depleting of the fish from commercial fishing is, of course, the health issue. We've seen that with obesity and also the diabetic. A lot of the islands have these problems, and those are the most challenging things that we face is the diet has changed, based on the living standard and style of living. It's all changed. So the health issue is a big issue for Micronesians and also the Pacific people.
I know that you have 2 sons, and maybe for the other children growing up here in Palau and also in the Pacific, what advice would you have for them in terms of what they can do to prepare themselves to be good conservationists and good stewards of their traditions and their country?
Well, I've always taken my boys to go fishing and trying to show them, educate them on the environmental issues. They're pretty, I would say, open-minded on those things. They've seen us. I used to be a hunter, take things, but later on I found out that you don't need to eat turtles. There's other things that you can use rather than take the turtles from the sea. You must try to save it. It's probably the last area there is that these sea creatures coexist with our environment and our existence. Try to show them those things, and hopefully that they learn from me. Also try to show them the family business, which is not always easy, but the changing times, changing things, and changing environment. And the challenge we face is how can we find the balance from developments to destroying the environment. So that's something I always talk to my boys about what you need to protect.
Thank you so much.
It's my pleasure.
The University of Hawaii Sea Grant College Program, helping coastal communities of Hawaii and the Pacific through research, education, and outreach. Serving the community from elementary to graduate students. Hawaii Sea Grant.
Exploring Our Fluid Earth is the dynamic curriculum developed by the University of Hawaii's Curriculum Research and Development Group. The award-winning Fluid Earth and Living Ocean textbooks are now interactive and online. New activities, updated content, and a teacher community. Exploring Our Fluid Earth is now freely available. Find out more at exploringourfluidearth.org.
Turn your love of the ocean into a lifelong career. Join NOAA, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, as we unlock the secrets in the deep oceans, track rapidly moving storms, model climate trends, protect and preserve our marine resources, and so much more. It's all in a day's work at NOAA. Find a career that makes a world of difference, enriching life through science, service, and stewardship. NOAA.
The Curriculum Research and Development Group in the College of Education at the University of Hawaii at Manoa. CRDG's training roots go back over 40 years. Through professional development programs, curriculum workshops, research on teaching methodology, individualized school and district training, and so much more. The Curriculum Research and Development Group, improving schools, improving education. CRDG.
Healthy oceans are critical to our cultural, economic, and environmental sustainability in Hawaii. The ocean serves as a source of water, food, medicine, jobs, transportation, recreation, and energy. It controls climate and weather. Kosi Island Earth aims to share this ocean awareness by partnering with local scientists and educators to engage communities and schools in active science learning for an ocean-literate population. Kosi Island Earth is working to establish new avenues for connecting research scientists with educators and communities. Kosi Island Earth is enhancing the science and ocean literacy of our island residents and visitors. Kosi Island Earth is connecting scientific research, traditional knowledge, and ocean policy. Kosi Island Earth, bringing together university, government, research, and community partners to improve science education and ocean stewardship in Hawaii.